Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we'll this Kiddushin daf Mem Gimel. We're going to begin on the very bottom of Mem Beis Amud Beis, the second to last line. Hanichla Beis Hillel. Now I can understand, according to Beis Hillel, Ela Beis Shammai Demuk Milola Haikra B'Machshava Kamaisa. He learned out the pasuk to tell you. When it comes to the din of Shlichus Yad, we brought this down specifically because there is a concept of ein shlich devar avera. Namely, if I ask you to do something for me, which is a sin, it's up to you. You have the bechira chafshi to decide to do it or not to commit that sin. And therefore, because of that, you are going to be the one who's responsible, the one who actually does the action. However, we don't find that when it comes to dinim of me'ila or by shlichas yad, and we end up saying that that's okay because that's two psukim, two places, which is therefore shnik sumban kechavin malamdin. And therefore, we end up discussing a little bit about shlichus yad, which was including a machlokes Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. And according to Beis Shammai, he holds that as soon as a person has a machshava of using a pikadon, a safekept object, which they're not allowed to, then all of a sudden they become chayav b'ointzin if something happens. Even if he would be a shomer chinam, in which typically you're only going to be chayav, as we see in Perek Mafkin b'Matzia, only when you have violated b'pshia. However, if there's actual negligence on your behalf, but here you're going to be chayiv even when it comes to ointzin because you actually even had this machshava. Now, Beis Shammai uses this pasuk to tell us that din, even though that's not what Beis Hillel holds. Beis Hillel holds it's not called davar pesha, but it has to be that you actually do something. As we continue Mem Gimel Mad Aleph, so neil minei. So why don't we learn out from Milah? Why don't we say that just like the din of Milah, that we say it is considered to be someone else does the sin and I get the punishment. We don't say ein shlech devar avera. So clearly Beis Shammai doesn't hold like that. So mishum dehavi me'ilo tvicha mechir shnik somein kechad. However, we do find another place, namely when it comes to the dinim of dalad v'hei, that if a person would steal a shor seh, so therefore you have to return either 4 or 5 times, depending if it's a shor or a seh, and that will take place not when you steal it only, because stealing you're only chayav kefil, double. However, if you would either slaughter or sell it, tvicho mechira, then you're going to be chayav dal b'hei, 4 or 5. And therefore, that's shnik somen kecha, v'chol shnik somen kecha and malabdin. So we're going to see that when it comes to the din of tvicha mechira, we also will apply the same din like me'ila, that it's not going to be the person who does the action who's going to be chayav, but the one who told you to do it. So Gemara says one second. So Mi'ila Hadamar. We already learned about Mi'ila on the previous daf, that when it comes to me asking you to do something, for example, I gave a shliach hektish money to use to buy something for me, the owner. So in that situation, the baal is chayiv. So what do we see such a similar concept when it comes to tvicha mechira? So Tvich mechira maihi. What exactly is this? So Omer Kro, the pasuk says utvachu ol mecharai ma mechira. Why does it connect them either way? So ma mechira, just like when it comes to selling. Alidei acher, the only way you could sell something is if you have someone else. So af tvich alidei acher. So when it comes to shechting, you're going to be chayiv even if it was done alidei acher. Says Rashi, in maskiyamas alidei acher hagad moicher lokech. It has to be that when I'm the Ganav and I sell something to you, so you didn't necessarily do anything wrong, you just bought it from me, you didn't know it was a stolen item, but I need someone else, and therefore if someone else wasn't involved, I wouldn't be chayev, dal b'hei. So, but the fact is that you are involved, so this other party causes me to be chayev. So it's the same thing when it comes to tficha, that if I have a shliach that does the shchita for me, I don't know how to shech, so I ask a shaycha to do it, so he is not going to be chayiv, I'm going to be chayiv. That's what we went out from here. And therefore, again, it's sniksum echad, so it's only dafk in those situations, so you can't learn a binyan al-mamatzinu from them, but rather we would say that otherwise we say in shliach l'maraber. That's one way you can derive it from tvicha mechira. Or, the Rabbi Shmuel tan ol rabas shliach. The fact says, again, it's like a riboy, whether that's actually different, but just the simple is that either way, you're going to be chayiv doing this or this. Just again, that says tachas, so that includes the shliach. So so obviously, if we would be holding like Beis Hillel, that wouldn't be a kasha, because according to Beis Hillel, he holds that you have mi'ila shlichas yad and tvicha mechira. That's already 3, and once you have 3, that's it. You can't learn out from them. But according to the shita of Beis Shammai, so he only has 2. Now it's a machlokas. Some people say that even when it's shnik sum boin keachad, still malamdin. So again, it doesn't really answer a question. Maybe we're getting closer to answering the question, but you have to find another place which we don't have. So Gemara therefore changes and says as follows: Gali rachmana b'shchuti chutz. The Torah reveals this regarding the isser of shechting b'chutz, shechting something which is kodesh outside of its designated place. What does the pasuk say? Dam yichashev. It's considered. It's blood. It's considered blood. Le'ishahu, to this person. Dam shafach. The blood was spilled. Who? V'lo shluchai. It's mashma that only he who spills the blood is chayiv. He, but not the shliach. So, even though maybe you're right, you could learn out of binyanam mamatzinu from these 2, mi'ila and tvicha mechira, but on the other hand, we actually have a diak and a pasuk, which shows that you cannot make such a mamatzinu, because the pasuk says only the leish hahu, only you, the one who does it, is chayiv, not the shliach. Okay, maybe that's only by shchuti chutz, b'chol terminon. So how do we know that this principle also applies throughout kol Torah kula? That if someone else does something on my behalf, I'm not going to be responsible. As we can understand, like it sounds, we're going to learn out from shchuti chutz, the dinim are the same. So Gemara says, 1 second. If you're going to say learn out from shchuti chutz on that side, so why don't you learn out from? Still, you have a mamatzinu that possibly you can learn. Okay, you have a diak by shchuti chutz that contradicts the mamatzinu. So hadar kasav rachmana v'nichras ha'ishahu. Again, the pasuk says that this person will be killed, will get kares. Now, why does it again have to say the same thing? We already know it's an ishahu and not a shliach when it comes to shchuti chutz. So it's an im enu inyan. Im enu inyan legufo to an inu chol terkula. We don't need it to tell us by shchuti chutz because we already have a pasuk for that. So therefore, it's coming to tell you that when it comes to even kol Torah kula, it's dafka the person ha'ishahu. Now 1 second. If you hold shnik sum moin kechad ein molamdin, which means that you have already mila and let's say again just tvicha mechira, and that's enough to therefore not learn out from that. So hani hahu my darsh bahu. You don't really need these psukim because we already know that ein shalech the maravera, because shnik sum and kech malam, that's the exception by meal and dal v'hei, but not any other case. So therefore, you don't need these drushes. So chal lemute shnaim sheichasim b'sakin v'sheichatin. One is coming to tell you if you have 2 people holding a knife, that they're going to be pater from bringing a carbon chatas if they shechted outside the designated area. V'chad hu v'lo oinis, hu v'lo shogeg, hu v'lo mute. Not that these are different languages, but they can all be derived. Only this person, someone who, as Rashi says, yishiv daito, someone who actually understands what they're doing, is going to be chayiv in shchuti chutz. Not if it was ba'onis, if it was coercion, or it was a shaygeg, or it was some type of mistake. Ve'idach. So how does the other one who already uses these words to teach us that in kol Torah that's dafga you but not a shliach? How do you know these other things? Me'ahu hahu. Yidachu hahu lo darsh. The question is, do you darsh an extra hay? V'adatani ha'imel shulchay. Person says to a shliach, say haragas a nefesh, can you do me a big favor for me? Yeah, could you kill someone for me? So hu chayev v'sholochav potter. So he is chayev, but the one who sent him is potter, which makes sense. That's what we hold like, right? After all, you shouldn't have killed him. Don't listen to me. Divri Rav, Divri Talmud, Divri Mishayman. However, this is why we're bringing it down. Shamei hazakin oimer. Shamei the zakin said, Misham Chagai Hanavi, in the name of Chagai, Sholchav Chayiv, that actually the one who sent him is Chayiv. So this is interesting that this is actually going to be another situation where if you instruct someone to do something, we don't say Shlach Devar Avera, but I am Chayiv. Shenemar, as the pasuk says regarding David HaMelech, O Saharata Becherev B'nei Amoin, you killed him with a sword. You're the one that killed him. So, even though he wasn't the one who killed him, but he instructed him, David instructed that he should be killed. And this is referring to, I'm pretty confident, this is referring to Uri, the Gemara is going to say this, it's going to talk about Uri Achiti, who happened to be married to Bathsheba, and Uri Achiti, as we're going to see, was Moed B'Malchus, that he had no right to speak or do something. So maybe David had the right to have him killed, but over here the pasuk sounds like David is held accountable. Now, David is not the one who killed him. David sent him in the front lines, which is tantamount to being killed, certainly in those days of war. But he didn't actually kill him. He basically sent him out to be just a soldier in the front lines, which means you're going to be killed. But he didn't do it. Someone else did it. So why is David the one who's held accountable? So it's because we see, like Shammai Hazakin says, that you can be chayiv even though you're not the one that actually pulled the trigger. So my time is Shammai Hazakin. Why? He holds that even though you have meal, like this is Shammai, right? So it's Shammai l'shitasai, that he doesn't learn out by shliach hashad, but he learns out meila, and when it comes to dal v'hei, those are cases where you can be chayev, even though the shliach did it. We don't say in shliach devar avera in those cases. We say yesh shliach devar avera. So you can learn out from those two other cases. But how about shchutei chutz? The hu hahu l'darish. He doesn't learn out the hu hahu, which means he doesn't learn out anything from shchutei chutz. So shchutei chutz, fine, is an exception that we say in shliach devar avera, but everywhere else we do. The boy say oilam darish. Really, he does make a drasha. So then l'chayra, how come over here he says you're chayiv? But my chayiv b'dishemayim. He's not really chayiv because we say in shliach devar avera, but the reality is David should be held somewhat accountable, at least b'dishemayim. So mechlad the Tanakama Sabra feel b'dishemayim nami potter. You're telling me this is what the machlok is about, and therefore the Tanakama holds that David totally did nothing wrong. It seems, again, okay, he's not the one that killed Uri Achiti, but he sent him to the front line, so he should at least be held somewhat accountable. El dina rabba v'dina zut ikbenayu. The machlokas is a big or small judgment, says Rashi. Was Shammai mechayv b'dina rabba b'oinish gadol. David should get a big punishment for what he did. However, Tanakam l'manish kuli hai, not so severe. K'hoyrig atzmai, like the killer, el k'gayrim. It's like he caused him. So therefore, that's maybe what the machlokas is. In other words, they can both be chayiv. They both hold your chayiv b'di shemayim. The question is, to what extent? Okay. It doesn't make any difference. The pasuk says explicitly, like shchutei chutz is a diak, so you can say the same thing. When it comes to murder, there's an exception that if you ask someone to do something like this, then you're chayiv. It just means that it has the same din as the sword of bnei almoin. Macher bnei almoin enu. You're not going to be punished for their doings. You're not going to be punished for anything that happened with Uri Achiti. Why not? My time, because Moed B'Malchus Havi. And there's a couple interpretations exactly how is he Moed B'Malchus. The Karmelei, the pasuk says, "V'adaini Yoyav and my master Yoyim. V'chol avdi adoini al pnei asad, and all my masters on the face of the field. Chaynim. So that pasuk, somehow we see an element of rebelliousness, and the fact that he was rebellious, so David had a right to have him killed. Says Rashi, Zehu merid shikar adim b'fnei melech. You can't call someone else a master when you're standing in front of a king. That shows a lack of respect to a king. That's how Rashi interprets it. In Taisus, Rabbeinu Tam, Mashi Amar lo David sheyelech beiso. He said, go home, lechol, eat something, lishtais, v'me'ein b'davar. He refused. K'dechsiv, kol avdei adayni al pnei asad chaynim, v'ani avo al beisi lechol v'gaimer. So, of all my friends, they're going to fight a war, and I should go back home. So the rebelliousness, according to Taisus, is really based on the next part of the pasuk, which is maybe why Rashi, who learns Pashup Shot, if the Gemara would have said Begoimer, Bechul, something like that, then maybe you would need to look at the rest of the pasuk. But the fact that the Gemara doesn't quote anything else sounds like it's this pasuk in Gufa that is the rebelliousness, and therefore the only thing Rashi can find is the fact that he says Adoni Yoyev. However, Taisa says you can continue a little bit further, and it's obvious that he was rebellious because he was told to do something and he basically refused to do it. Okay, fine. So Ravam, back in the Gemara, if in fact that's what he holds, and therefore because of that, he really can learn out from a Mamatzinu, that we can learn out through this Binyan Av, from these two places, Amila and Dalad V'Hei, that you can be chayiv on someone else's actions. So Maida, they will agree, but if you say to your shliach, say boilas erva, I want you to go and have relations with this woman who's against, you're not allowed to. Or you say, go and eat some non-kosher fats. In that situation, the one who told you to do it, I'm totally off the hook. Everyone will hold that. Why? Because we never mind. How is it possible that you got all the benefit, you reaped all the glory, or in this case, you had the hana of tashmish or achilas chaylev, and then I'm going to be held accountable for that? No. And therefore, in that situation, even they would agree. Okay. Let's look at question 13. Be'ilmin kaimais yishliach levar avera. So me'ila shlich hashad or tficha. Okay. Question TA 10. Makvanas pasuk. What does this pasuk mean? On Mem Gimel Mid Aleph. V'oisa harata b'cherev b'nei amoin. So what does this pasuk mean? So according to Shama Hazaken, TA 10, what this is coming to tell you is that in this case, we say Yeshlech Devar Veira, that David HaMelech is going to be held accountable for having this person Uriachiti killed. Or you could say Harlucha Kecherev B'nei Amoin, just like the sword in Ataneneshalav Af Uriachiti, Yataneneshalav, because he was Mord B'Malchus. Let's see how he writes this. Omishim Shuluchai Nechshav Kil Hargai. O Kavana Shein Neneshalav. He's not punished. Kamo Shein Neneshal Cher B'nei Amoin. V'tamishim Dahavi Mord B'Malchus. Does it say the reason why? Makavanas a pasuk doesn't. They just threw in the Mord B'Malchus piece. It's not so clear that needed to be said. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Let's find my. That's TA, TV. Let's get organized here. Okay. All right. We're by the two dots. Let's continue. Itmar, we want to like this. So Rabbi Imer Shliach Nasa 8. Totally different sugi over here. Can a Shliach be a witness? So according to Rav, yes, a Shliach can be an aid. Says Rashi, Bein the Kiddushin, Bein Sheshach, Mamoin Lo Bal Chayiv. It doesn't make any difference if it's for Kiddushin, it has to do with monetary issues. But star of Shliach im aid, the shliach can combine with a witness. Shnayim to become two. Oyim shneihim shluchim. If there are two messengers, they can both testify. Fine. That's the shita of Rav. Rav holds shliach nasa'ed. Debei Rabbi Shila Amri in shliach nasa'ed. So we have this machok. So my time debei Rabbi Shila. Why not? Why can't you multitask? So Elim and Misham Deloy Armalei, because he wasn't said Harili aid, that behold, I am a witness. So maybe that's the reason why it's a problem. Let's say you're a Mekadosh woman in front of two guys. You don't say, you are my witnesses. You just, Mekadosh woman, there happens to be two witnesses there. You can tell me that wouldn't be a good Kiddushin. We know it's not true. We know that it's not necessary. That you don't need to say, Atem Edai. Says Rashi, maybe when it comes to Edi Hodah, it's necessary, according to the Gemara in Sanhedrin. Shepamim she'adam moida l'toivai mana v'yomer hadin imcha b'mnei sheroitza lashtika me'elav ad la'achar zman. Maybe just want to push him off. Okay, so maybe when it comes to other matters, when it comes to this, there's no reason. When it comes to Kiddushin, certainly, we would say that it should work. So too, we know that you don't have to say Atem Eidai. It'll still be good Kiddushin. So too would be the same thing. He doesn't have to say Harle Aid. So why can't the shliach also be an aid? So Elo Rabbi Meshliach Nasa Aid Elumi Kam Alimnam Lamilsa. After all, if he's a shliach, he kind of is more involved in this matter, and therefore, since he's more involved in the matter, so of course he should be able to be a witness because he's able to testify probably better than anyone else. Rabbi Shila Amri no, ain't shliach Nasa Aid. And here's an unbelievable pshat. Since we say that a shliach is like me, so I'm not doing it, you're doing it, but you, the shliach, it's ki'ilu like you're me, so therefore, once you're my shliach, it's like I'm doing it. And therefore, I can't be an aid also, I can't be a witness for myself, so my shliach, who is in my stead, also can't be a witness. Beautiful pshat. Meisei Fret Gemara. He said to three people, Suvi Kachuli Isha, go and marry this woman for me. Echad Shliach U'Shnayim Eidim de Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai says, okay, it's not a problem. Two of them are witnesses, one will be your shliach. Beis Hillel Amrim Kulam Shluchim, they could all be shluchim. Hein, they ain't shliach nasa aid, and therefore one shliach you're not going to have an aid because you clearly appointed all three of them to be shluchim. That's what it sounds like. Now, what do we see? Ad kan lo pligi. The Beis Shammai will only argue el b'shleisha if there's three people. El b'shnayim divrei kol lo. They should have just mentioned the case of two. Obviously, it must be that even Beis Shammai holds that two people, if you'd say it to them, that wouldn't work. Must be because everyone holds ein shliach naseid. So it's a kashan rav. So Hudi Armer ki haitana. He actually holds like the following: the sign you have Nasan Armer that Beis Shammai Armer shliach ve'ed echad Beis Hillel Armer shliach u'shnei edim. No, it's not true. He actually will be in support to the shita Beis Shammai that shliach nasa aid. Well, how does that help? After all, Rav Beis Shammai, you don't really want to side with Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai is a great tzaddik, right? And Shammai is a great tzaddik. The Beis Medrash of Beis Shammai is great, but we don't paskin like him, right? When we have Beis Shammai, we say Beis Shammai together with Beis Hillel ain't a Mishnah. We paskin like Beis Hillel. The halach is like Beis Hillel. Why would you want to paint yourself into a corner like that? The Gemara says, okay, switch it around. Switch Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. In other words, Rav is going to hold like Beis Hillel. And we'll say that Beis Hillel is the one that says Shliach Naseid. Rav Acha Berei the Rabba Masni Ivcha. He actually flips it around. He says, Rabbi Amri Ein Shliach Naseid, Demir Rav Shila Amri Shliach Naseid. And therefore, because of that, still Rav will hold like Beis Hillel that Ein Shliach Naseid. But Hilchasa Shliach Naseid. The halacha actually is a shliach can be an aid. He's able to testify on the matter. Okay. Good. Question 14. Ma tamu mandir ein shliach nasa aid. So beautiful. Kivan sh'deshach adam kamaiso havli kagufo. Okay. Weiter. So the shliach is nasa aid. Amar Rava, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Lishnaim, Suvi Kitchuli, Yasei, go and marry a woman for me. Hein Hein Shluchav, they could also be your Shluchim, and Hein Hein Eidim, they're also your witnesses. Shlech Nasa Eid. That's not only by the dinim of Kiddushin, but Hein Begerishin, says Rashi, Im Shalch Get L'Isha, if you send a get to your wife, Ali De Shtayim, through two people, they could also be the Eidim for the Eidim Asira. As we continue on Mem Gimel Amud Beis. V'chein b'dini mamnas. So too when it comes to monetary matters, says Rashi, Im shal choiv l'malva al yedi shnayim. Let's say you send money that you owe to the lender, and you have two people that send $1,000. They can also be witnesses to testify that he received it. Now it's really need all three. The Yashmin Kiddushin Mishum Dol Masera Kaasi. What they're trying to do is aser her to him of a Gerushin. When it comes to Gerushin, where she's becoming Hariyat Muteres Choladam, Nechel Shema Edom Nosenba. Maybe one of these guys want to marry her. So when it comes to Kiddushin, it's to their detriment, because they're not shaykh to be able to marry her if their testimony is accepted. So, but if their testimony is accepted here by Gerushin, now she'll be a free woman. He can marry, a witness can marry her. So maybe it's not true. Maybe he's lying. Maybe we will not say in Shalach Naseh by Kiddush by Gerushin. B'yashmin and Gerushin mishum the issa the betray loichazia. Yeah, but both of them aren't. One of them, how could what's the other one gaining? Right? Two men can't marry this woman, so they're probably telling the truth. However, maybe when it comes to money, they're going to split the money. So, Mike Savar, what exactly do we hold over here? Ik Savar hamavo chaver be'edim. When it comes to when you lend money with witnesses, sarchapar be'edim, you have to pay them back also with witnesses, and that's why we're talking about this case of shech nasa aid. So you have edim that the money was given. So one second, hani noigim be'edus ninhu. This is a case of being noigeh be'edus. When it comes to the dinim of divrei mamnus, why? Di amri lo parnei, because if they say, I did not pay back the lender, if he says, I did not pay back the lender, armuhu, they will say to them, paruni, pay me back. Says Rashi, ve'ein neman loimer parati. You cannot say I paid back. Hecha mehimni loimer nesanuni l'malva. How can they say it was given over to the malva? Har noigim edusin heim. Why? Says Rashi, de'ilo she'imo yomru me'idimanu shekibum hamalva. If you don't say that we're testifying, I'm telling you we gave the $1,000 to the lender, arbohen loive, so the borrower can say paruni. Masha masarti lachem, give me my money back. Tepamim shemasol hem be'edim. So if it's true that he gave them money, and you need to pay back with edim, so they have to say that they paid him back. What happens if the money got lost in the way and they never ended up giving them the money, or they decide just to spend it, and they can just lie and say, yeah, we gave him back the money. If they don't say that they paid him back the money, the borrower's going to say, okay, I wish you had done my shlichus. Give me my money back. I'll do it myself. So they're clearly noigeh be'edus in this situation. The truth is, you don't need witnesses that was paid back. So the fact is, what they say really doesn't matter. So since they could have said that we did give the money back to the borrower, we decided not to do anything, not to do his shlichus. We also believe them to say that they paid back the malva. Says Rashi, they could just say, you know what, we don't have the time to give this $1,000 to track him down. Take your money back. I'm not interested in doing it. Since they could have said that, so they're going to believe to say that we did pay back the malva, and therefore no one's going to have to, and that's it. Because you don't really need Adam. If you did need Adam, then they'd be Nogeb Edus and not Nogeb Edus. So that's what it means. But there is a concept of Shuas Heses. Now, normally there's a Shua Deraisa called Moed B'Mixas. that if, let's say, I say you owe me $100, you say, no, I actually paid you back 50, I owe you another 50. So it's a din deraisa that we want to force you to make a shvua. Now, if you're kofer b'koil, if you deny everything, there's no chiyuv deraisa of a shvua. However, there is a shuas heses. There is a shvua d'Rabbanan that we do require you to still make. So the hasha tikkun Rabbanan shuas heses mishtaboi hani edim dihavinale. So we should still require these edim to make a shvua. Umishtabel malve duli shakale, and then the malva will make a shvua that he actually never received it. Uparli loivel malva, and then the loivel will have to pay back the malva. Says Rashi, v'noyachu lahem l'hafsid a moment l'malva m'lishava l'sheker. They would rather lose out money than lying. Yafagav the chashidi mamayna loy chashidi shvuasa hilkach mamamoin lo'amrin and hein edav. So it's very interesting. Unfortunately, we don't have this necessarily in this day and age, but a person back then maybe would steal. They have they have a need for money. They can rationalize it, but to make a shvua in Beis Din, maybe using Hashem's name and all this, that's so chomer, a person wouldn't do such a thing, and therefore a shvuas heses would be enough to be able to cause them to be a little bit more concerned. Okay, fine. Weiter. Ha'ish mekadesh is bitoi. So the end of the Mishnah said that a father can be mekadesh's daughter while she is a naira, and kol shekin is a katana. I entice us over there. Tanan Hasam. So we learned in a Mishnah over there in Gittin, Nar Hamarasa. He ve'aviyah mekabanas gita. When it comes to a girl who is Erison, she accepted she's at the state of Kiddushin, and she's a naira, and she's between the ages of 12 and 12 and a half, so the father has some yad still, because she's not completely married, and she's not a bogeris, so he ve'aviyah mekabanas gita. So the din is that either she or the father can be mekabel the get. So Amar Rabbi Yehuda ein shtei yadayim zeichas ke'achad. According to Rabbi Yehuda, he says no. You can't have two hands, too many chefs in the kitchen. You can't have two hands to be zeicha ke'achad. Ela v'yim mekabel gita. Rather, only the father has the right to be mekabel the get, and that is it. Okay. Now again, this is a din. Rashi says it's not just by a naira, but it's also when it comes to a katana as well, to show the koyach of Yehuda that also as a katana, the din is that the father has is makabel the get. And then it says one other important piece. Any woman who's not able to safeguard her get, so then you can't divorce her, which is usually referring to a shaita. As Rashi says, I feel idea avia. Even if the father's on the kabbalah, the girl's a shaita, they're shaitahi. So he said it has to be a situation b'shilcha mebeisa. You send her from your house, but not a situation where she keeps coming back. So if she keeps coming back, so obviously she doesn't understand the concept of being divorced. So you can't divorce her. So that's the mission over there. Now we have a machlokus. Omer Reish Lakish k'machlokus l'gerushin kach machlokus l'kiddushin. Just like there's this machlokus who could be makabel at a time of a naira the get, so too is a machlokus whether or not the daughter and the father, or only the father, can be makabel the kiddushin money at that time. Now our Mishnah says beferish, it says the father. That's what it sounds like. Okay. No machlokas l'gerushin. Whole machlokas Tanakan Rabbi Yehuda is only by gerushin. Of a kiddushin divrei kol aviyah v'lohi. Only the father can be makabel the kiddushin, but not her as a naira. What is the reason why Rabbi Yochanan says, according to Shita the Rabbanon, that the whole machlokas is only by gerushin, that whether or not the Tanakam and Rabbi Yehuda argue if she can be makabel her get as a naira, but when it comes to kiddushin, Rabbi Yochanan says it's only the father. So gerushin demachneses atzmol rishus aviha ben hi ben avia. When it comes to gerushin, so what happens? She's entering back into her father's domain. So since she's going into her father's domain, it makes sense that she and or her father can be makabel, according to the Tanakama. They can be makabel to get. Kiddushin demafkas atzm rishus avia v'lohi. have to understand the svar in this, and we're going to actually stop at this point, and we'll have to delve into this. We'll review this again tomorrow's daf. But when it comes to Kiddushin, where she's leaving the father's rishus, so only the father has the right to do it. So it's almost like when the father, he has control over her. So there, because she's in his rishus. So for her to leave his rishus, so only he can accept it. However, when it comes to the case of Gershon, where she's not really in the father's rishus, so therefore even she may have a right to be able to be makabel the get. Okay, that's the basic idea. Again, we're really in the middle of a sugya, but it continues so deeply, we're going to stop there. Let's see if we have another question, which we'll see in tomorrow's daf. Adkan.